Good evening and welcome to the one-on-one seat with me, Kazimbire the Bruka. This is the show in which everything is considered. Tonight, my guest is the Secretary of the SWAPO Party Youth League, Dr. Elia Gurare. A very good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. You've been in the media of late, making a few sounds here and there, getting into trouble here and there. Apparently, you're being suspended anytime now. What is your reaction to that?
Well, thank you very much. And as I said, Happy New Year to you and to the viewers. I think maybe to prelude our discussion, let us become a little bit religious and say, in the beginning we were created in the image of God. And then came Adam. The rest is history. But more than that is that we were created with the wisdom of God. Now, the wisdom of God is what places us, you and me and others, in this animal kingdom to be different. That is to say, we have the ability to think, we have the ability to reason, and by extension, we have the ability to agree to disagree. Now, as to answer your question, of course, what you have read and what you have been reading, it is to the core of exactly that. What is it that we should agree on? What is it that we cannot agree on? And what is our common denominator?
But it appears you're in the business of just disagreeing, especially the past 2 years post the 2012 SWAPO Party Congress, where your candidate that you supported did not make it for the vice presidency. And therefore, there is this perception out there that you're just out there to disagree with everybody.
Yes, let's bring now the common denominator. The common denominator is the need and access to land. Where do you stand, and where do all those people you have mentioned stand? Are they for it? Are they against it? Is the nation for it? Is the nation against it? Now, if in the likelihood, which is the case, that all of us agree, land is important, land is crucial, it cannot be said that I will disagree with all those who hold the view that land must be accessible to everybody, and it should be affordable to everybody. So therefore, we shouldn't be simplistic and bring in the issue, the petty issues of Congress. The real fundamental issue is that of land. So let's discuss that. Let's differ on that one.
Does the president of this country and your party hold a different view? Because he was quoted in the international media saying we're sitting on a time bomb specifically on this issue. If we don't tackle land, the issue of land, we'll be in a lot of trouble. There is that agitation that is there. He was the first one to note it. In your SWAPO Party manifesto, it specifically talks about that. So where does the whole issue of land now receive prominence while it has always been prominent?
Well, I commend you for leapfrogging this argument, because it was being said that we are differing. So now you have just confirmed that, in fact, from the highest level, there is no disagreement on the issue of land. Therefore, if it's a time bomb coming from the wisdom of the president, then why should it not be a time bomb for you and me? Isn't it? And if we have said it in the party, and those who fought for this country, some have died for this country, and some were prepared to die for this country, and in fact, they have carried on a continuation of the anti-imperialist struggle that was here, anti-colonial struggle. It was about land. So the time bomb, it means it has a time limit, a limit upon which it can explode. And if it explodes, we will regret a regrettable regret.
Was there ever thinking that that time bomb, the very detonator for that, was going to come from the SWAPO Party Youth League or members of the SWAPO Party Youth League?
In fact, I would have been very worried if everybody out there would have been saying, oh, this SWAPO Youth League, this Ngurare, these are very good boys. These are very good boys. I would have been very worried, because that is not how it should be. The mere fact that we are the SWAPO Party Youth League, the active and militant SWAPO Party Youth League, it means we have come and stepped in the foot of those who have gone before us. Those who have gone before us, they were not afraid to die because they fought in the battle to liberate this country. Now, economically speaking, all we are advocating for is not strange, it's not something that is out of the ordinary. It is issues that we think is common sense. Mm-hmm. If we speak of service delivery, it's common sense. If we speak of land, it's common sense. If we speak of the issue of unemployment amongst the young people, it's common sense. Rural development, everything. These are common sense issues.
But in being that transmitting belt, how about transmit the party solutions to some of these challenges that is facing Namibia? Because the party has taken a stance on some of those matters, unless you're telling us that the policy initiatives that were taken, amongst others at the policy conference, and that are listed in your party manifesto, are null and void.
It's good because you are in this business of transmitting information. You would recall vividly what the track record of the transmitting belt has been over the years. That is to say, to remind those deployed in positions of responsibilities in government to implement. So if we speak about that, it means we are actually reminding ourselves of what is in existence in terms of our policies. Let's take the policy conference. The same thing. The issue of land was discussed there, and for your information, SWAPO Youth League was the first to have and hold the policy conference, and then the party followed. Ours was in May, the party in August. So from our Congress, we took our recommendations to the party for implementation. So it wouldn't be correct to say that we are not taking the policy decisions of the party for implementation. Perhaps I should hasten to add that there can be no party which can compare to us in terms of having maybe the intelligence of formulating the best policies, but implementation of those policies becomes a problem. And when we point that out, it is not and should not be perceived that we are going for personalities, but rather for the issue.
Is it the Youth League? Is the Youth League totally behind you on this one, or are you again going out in the front, and perhaps with 2 or 3 other people, and in the name of Jopa Mpanda, for example, who specifically went to clear the land at Klinokupe, and Dr. Elia Gurare was nowhere to be found, and somehow we find you later getting on the bandwagon and already now being in support of this particular issue. Is it really a minority in the Youth League that are in support of this issue, that are hungry for this issue, or is it just 3 or 4 isolated elements?
Well, the question is very loaded. When you say a minority, if the issue is an issue, let's suppose the issue is hunger, are you seriously going to expect an answer that says one was hungry but others were full, or hunger only affects some and not the others? It is not true that many of those who are in the Youth League are all landowners. It's not the case. Many are landless. So that issue of access to land, it cannot be said that it is just for the few. Surely it's for everybody.
We'll get into the details of affirmative repositioning and Dr. Elia Gurare's take on it right after this. Welcome back. My guest tonight is the Secretary of the SWAPO Party Youth League. Let's continue on this thread, because another fellow youth leader, Natangwe Ithete, who's headed to Parliament, said this whole issue of land applications is going to cause anarchy. It is a disorderly process, and it will result in local authorities being burdened to deal with this mass land applications that have been made. To that you say?
I have not seen him say that. Well, fine, I hear you attributing those words to him. You have to Remember when I started to say let's prelude, and the prelude is the ability to think and reason. Now, when
so other SWAPO party youth leaders are not thinking.
When you say that the local authorities will be burdened, in other words, you are presuming that they are incapable. You are presuming that they are not competent. Now, this is 24 years after independence. We must, first of all, understand, even when you are asked to speak, even when you are sent to go and make statement, first reason for yourself, because you were created with the wisdom of God individually, first. Now, we must understand that there is something called 1992 Local Authorities Act. Read it, analyze it before you speak. So, you cannot say that when you apply, especially when it is procedural and legal, that you are somehow overburdening the local authority. Who has become the spokesperson of local authority? I thought within the structure of local authority, they have their own mandate and capacity to speak. If we are saying that they don't, then how come third parties should be speaking for them?
But this is the prevailing situation. You have a housing backlog, informal settlements that have sprawled up all over the place, and that's why the president drove the initiative of mass housing, for example. So those are clear problems that already exist with the housing prices. The statistics point that out. The research is already there. That's not rocket science for you to analyze that problem and find that there is a huge backlog at local authorities to service the land, proclaim the land, and service it for all the Namibians that need the land.
I like that line of thinking. Then explain to me how come there are so-called special people who receive land in local authorities. Explain that to me. Where's that logic coming from? Just if we follow what you have just said, because we have seen in the recent years, there are some declared special. They receive land. If there was a backlog, how did they somehow manage to shoot their way through that backlog?
Is it anecdotal or is it empirical?
It is empirical. I think you know about that. So this is what has been happening, isn't it?
How about the timing of this mass applications?
I have heard this argument again. Again, it's the same thing. Because there appears to be an absence of lack of critical thinking towards it. When you speak, I have heard people saying, you see, you can't apply because this is many to the local authorities. Does that imply that in the local authorities there are application forms somewhere where group are considered, and then they mark also where your political party and your church, etc., is made? I don't think there's such thing. So whatever and whenever time you apply, you are considered individually. Whether or not you receive that plot or land is a different matter, and within the remit of the local authority. It is not for us to say, no, don't apply. The legal thing any reasonable human being should do is to encourage people to obey the laws.
How about these deadlines that Dr. Mpanda, for example, has already made a stand on, that by this date we need a response. By this date, if this does not happen, we'll do this. That is counterproductive, isn't it?
Yes, what I will challenge you to do as NBC, call him, Comrade Job Mpanda, bring him on this one-on-one, or bring them on top of the nation. Why are you scared to listen to them?
What is your reaction to those deadlines?
Well, I'm not the spokesperson.
Are they holding a gun to the local authorities?
As I'm saying, NBC, don't be afraid to be controversial and talk to them. Let them speak for themselves. What I'm saying to you is that what we should encourage is for people to apply procedurally and in accordance with the relevant law.
Will the deadline be counterproductive, in your view?
Which deadline? The deadline of applying?
Any deadline.